Now, the Bram Weinstein Show on Washington's new home for sports, ESPN 630.
Hey, babies, hey, babies, hey, babies, hey, babies, 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 babies. Hi, everyone. What's up?
I know why you're high energy today.
Yeah, I'm going away today.
Yeah, you're going away.
Me and the Archman are going to do our little dad-son trip tomorrow. Fortunately, we caught a break. The Orioles are the opening day opponent at Fenway Park. So I bought tickets and we're going tonight. And obviously I don't have a show tomorrow because we've got Orioles baseball against the Red Sox. Yeah, so we're going to have a little dad-son trip to go see the O's, Han, take on the Red Sox in Fenway.
What's your gear situation with the O's?
I'm going to wear an O's hat.
Okay.
He's got a Cal Ripken shirt that he brought with him.
All right.
So I think that's fine, right? We're not going to get, I think he's really going to say something to an 11-year-old?
It's Boston.
Maybe. That's
you don't
true,
know.
Maybe.
It is
Maybe.
Boston.
Maybe.
My favorite story is from when I went to opening day when I was the Nats opened up there in 2016. It was Scherzer's first year.
Yeah.
We got made fun of a little bit because it was like Walgreens, all that, W.
Yeah.
And then like 3 fans started making fun of me and my brother like in the 6th, 7th inning. Red Sox were up by a lot. Big Papi had 2 home runs.
Yeah.
And other Red Sox fans stood up for us. Like, nah, they've been watching the whole game. You guys just got here. Like, shut up.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it was like, real baseball town, actually.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was it. So, I think you'll be fine as long as...
Well, I considered, I was like...
Archer, though, is a little obnoxious these days when it comes to trash talking. So
He trash talks.
So
I'm going to talk to him about that. I'm actually going to talk to him about it.
That conversation.
Yeah, last year we went to that Caps-Penguins game, and after they came back from down 3-0, he's like, this is my house.
Yeah.
Like, screaming. I'm like,
Can't do
sit
that.
down,
Can't
man.
do that in Fenway or he,
we were sitting next to a person, though, who had bought a Sidney Crosby crybaby jersey because he was a Caps fan. It was hilarious. And so we were surrounded by the right people when he did this.
Right, but I'm just...
We'll tone it down. We'll tone it down.
Tell him baseball's a little more,
let's
more
just
chill.
enjoy it.
A little more chill.
Yeah, Gunnar hits a home run. Let's enjoy it.
Right. When the Orioles are up 16-1 in the 8th, like, maybe, but, calm down over there.
Yeah, don't turn around and start screaming, y'all suck.
Yeah, right.
Don't do that. Yeah, so I'm excited about that. I'm really, I'm pumped to go up there. I've been to Fenway before. He hasn't. So I'm excited to do this, and it just worked out. I mean, we got the hometown team playing up there, so that's fun.
I'm interested to see what his perspective is as a kid, because, like, I think when you're probably around 16, 17, 18 years old, you appreciate, oh, wow, this is just really old school. But I wonder what he's going to think as, like, a kid of, like, where's the TVs?
Yeah,
why aren't the
this
seats,
place is junk.
Why aren't the seats padded? Why are they wood? Why do I have a splinter? Like,
right. Yeah, like, this place sucks.
Why is the concourse the size of a hallway? Like, what's going on?
Like, you told me they should never change this. I disagree.
Right. Well, I guess they do have a jumbotron now. So I mean, but that's not a problem. But,
well, like he's about as tall as the entrance openings at Fenway Park too.
Right. Yeah.
Like it was built for people when the tallest person in Boston must have been 5'3".
Yeah. Right.
If you walk around. Anyway, I'm excited about this. So we're going up there. I won't be here Wednesday because day 2 of our little trip is a drive to Springfield because he wants to see the Basketball Hall of Fame. So we're going to do that.
Okay.
He was picking out which jersey he wants to wear to the Basketball Hall of Fame. I'm pumped. Oh, one more thing on Boston. I'll tell this story later about my father-in-law.
Oh.
It's a good one.
Oh, okay.
I'll get a verdict on it just because it was an unusual thing that occurred. We'll get a verdict on it. But I want to talk about Caitlin. Let's talk about Caitlin a little bit.
Sure.
As expected, everybody backed off I guess her legacy's ruined because she didn't win a championship after losing to an undefeated team.
Right, yeah, exactly.
And she showed up and was awesome, especially early in the game. And I know we'll see what the rating is on it. I mean, the Final Four game was larger than the game before with Angel Reese in it. So they got the miracle draw. They got everything they could have possibly asked for. They had her kind of lifting the sport up. They got the matchups that they could have asked for because everybody knew about the Angel Reese thing from a year ago. Mm-hmm. And then everybody heard that the Washington Post was going to slam Kim Mulkey, which didn't happen, but whatever. Then they got to the Final Four, and it was like, oh, I know UConn's good. Like, even if you don't know anything about the sport, like, oh, I know they're good. Right? And then they get to the next game, and it's like, and oh, by the way, they're the best program running in that sport. And oh, by the way, they're undefeated. So that's the miracle ask when you put the bracket together that you get all of those together. Because remember when it came out and LSU was on the same bracket, and everybody was like, that's terrible. We want the rematch somewhere else. And I go, the likelihood of them having a rematch anywhere else, if you put them in separate quadrants of it, you were not going to get it, but you got it. So actually, the selection committee did a service for that and got everything they could have possibly wanted by having them in the same side of the bracket. And it worked out that they played each other. Game was awesome yesterday. South Carolina's just a better team, just a better program, way too much size, far more athletic just in general across the board. But I don't think it takes anything away from what she accomplished. And I thought what Dawn Staley did after the game was amazing, where she called out her saying, thank you for helping lift up our sport. I thought it was the right thing to do, the right thing to say.
It also just from a pure game perspective as well. She was gassed by the end. I mean, her shots were falling short. That's what happens when your legs are starting to go to. Like, I was not surprised this finally happened, because how many games was she going to be able to keep it up? It was, as being the playmaker that she is, too. Like, I think Greeny had a good point on his show earlier today. He was like, her passes are so good, her teammates don't know when they're coming.
Yeah.
Like,
yes.
So he was like, if she was surrounded by a little bit more talent.
You actually see her react sometimes where she's like, oh, my God. I hit you in the hands with that. Like, what are you doing?
Because they don't know. So
I mean, I like because I was trying to figure out which point guard is she, because Steph Curry is a shooter, but then it's like, but the passing is what really separates her. It really separates her. Yeah, I think it's like Nash. Like, Magic Johnson did all these crazy tricks, really. He was like sleight of hand.
Yeah.
Nash was just kind of really smart. Really smart player, understood how to set up his teammates. It was like seeing the game a step ahead. He was always kind of a step ahead. And I agree. That's about what she is, and it's amazing to watch. And then my wife's brought this up a few times over the last couple of weeks, and especially when I tell her, I go, the ratings, are coming back in their bonkers for these games. They're like more than the men's games. And I'm like, I'm not surprised, just because of how much publicity she was getting and how much publicity the sport was getting over the last couple of months, and how she just kind of took over as, for a period of time here, the most important person in sports for at least a few weeks, the last couple months or so. Like, just the most notarized, most important, the person everyone's most curious about. Like, people just want to get a look at this. Like, they want to see what it is, what's going on, like, what's the hype about with her. And my wife just keeps like saying over and over, she's like, I just can't believe how many people are just tuning into women's sports. Like, this is unbelievable. And I'm like, it is.
Yes.
It's not the first time it's happened. Like, the Women's World Cup, I think, was the first major team event in women's sports, not like tennis or the Olympics,
right?
Like figure skaters at the Olympics for sure. Tennis, to like with the Williams sisters, where the solo sports, where when you get like kind of these like game changing people, Billie Jean King, the Williams sisters, Martina Navratilova, whoever may come through, like they get a lot of attention, but they're in a solo sport. The Women's World Cup, I think, was the first time we had a team sport that really kind of changed the dynamic of watching a women's team sport. And it's not like women's basketball wasn't, on some level, quote unquote, popular, but something happened with her. I don't know. I couldn't tell you what it is, because like, if you're going to sit there and at me like, well, she's white, I'm going to go, well, Diana Taurasi and Sue Bird and Rebecca Lobo and plenty of others, Breonna Stewart, have come through that are white, that did not like garner this level of attention. And so I don't know what it is exactly about her, but there is something here that garnered the level of attention. And my wife just kept bringing it up. She's like, I just cannot believe how many people are genuinely interested in this, kind of know about it, engaged with it, kind of have to watch it. She's like, this is really unusual. And it really was.
Well, I think it's well, to bring up to your original point, it's because there's a women's player that is shooting it like Steph, because nobody can shoot it like Steph. Like, just Steph pulling up from the logo is his thing.
Well, what people don't like, what's the girl's name who did the 3-point competition with Steph?
Oh, Sabrina.
I can't pronounce her last name.
Ionescu? I don't know.
Again, like, there is a girl that can do that. Or Taurasi's ridiculously great and has been for a long time. Like, she could shoot the lights out too. I don't know what it is about her, but there's something about her that just kind of drew people in a unusual way, because I agree she's like kind of a unique player. Yeah. But like, it's like she's not the first women's basketball player. Like, what do we like?
Right.
Nancy Lieberman's sitting there going, I played with the guys in the 70s, dude.
Yep,
like she's not the first person to come along to like kind of transcend the sport, but there was something about her that really resonated.
I would say though, like those types, like I've said this about Steph too, in today's day and age, he is, I don't want to say was, but like we all know he's not in his prime anymore. Steph was the perfect player for the generation he's in, and that is the bite-sized viral type moments where the second he makes a crazy shot, it's on Twitter, it's on ESPN, it's all over the place fast, right? She's the same way where her shots are so crazy that you won't even have to watch the game, but someone will go, oh my God, she pulled up from the logo and made it. Like I think that's what it does.
I think it's also that she did it at Iowa.
Yeah, right.
That's got to be it.
Sure.
Because if she got her wish and got recruited by UConn and went there, she'd just be another player that was great that went through there. And I really don't think this would have happened. Like, I think she just would have been another player there. Like, they've had all these great stars. She just would have been another great star that played there. How would it have been really any different? I think something about the staying home, doing it at a place that doesn't win very much, and getting that level of attention matters here too. Like, right? It has to. Like, that's got to be part of this. Like, had she gotten her wish, I don't think we'd have the attention on it like this. I think she'd just be another great player that played at UConn, and nobody would pay any attention to it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess that's a different argument too, though, because if she goes to UConn, does Gino just put her as a cog in the machine and doesn't let her do those types of things too? Because I think that is a part of all of that. Like, obviously she can pass like crazy. Do you think he would approve of her pulling up from the logo with the amount of talent that's on UConn's team?
Right.
I doubt it.
He actually did her a favor by not recruiting her.
Right.
She would not have. She would not have become the player she became because the Iowa coach let her do all this stuff.
Right.
Like, there were plenty of times, because I've watched a lot of her. I'm like, there's no chance most coaches would let her get away with that.
That's right.
And
exactly.
you better hit those shots.
Right.
Like, you better make them.
She does. So, I mean.
And I think the cool part was her teammates seemed to be totally down with it, too. Because there were plenty of times where she's just jacking things up. And on any, like, Trae Young does this in the NBA. And you're like, dude, you better make those.
Yeah.
Like that's, you're just wasting possessions when you do that. But her teammates were totally down with it, too. I mean, either way, I just think it's cool for women's sports. I think it's cool that it happened. I think it's a complicated story. I think by not getting what she wanted, it actually probably ended up being the best favor anybody did to her. Because, to your point, her game would not have grown like this because she never would have been allowed to play like that at UConn. But secondarily, to my point about, well, Taurasi played there, Sue Bird played there, Breonna Stewart played there, all these other great players played there. She'd just be another player there. There'd be no different identity to her. Right. And I don't think people would have this level of interest. They'd be like, oh, she's a really good player at UConn, duh.
Right, exactly.
Like, that's all it would have been. Like, that's all it would have been. So, anyway, I thought it was really cool. And, I found myself rooting for her because I for some reason, I just for the sport's sake, I thought it would be cool if she won.
Sure.
And, she didn't. And, what that other team did, they're like UConn. I mean, like UConn men's team.
Yeah.
Like, wow. They're a total machine. And when they hit the gas, well, forget it.
Yeah. No, they're awesome.
Totally forget it. There were two things that came out of it, too. I did see already the Phoenix Mercury, because I don't know if you saw Taurasi kind of lit her up. Did you see what she said about her?
I saw something about it over the weekend.
She was doing the alt cast with Sue Bird, and she was going at her which I thought was actually, I don't know, I didn't love it because not that everybody has to sit there and praise her.
Yeah.
But I think there was this kind of this moment, like the sport was having a moment. And I think the stars who built it to have this moment should have kind of ceded a little ground and been like, this is cool. But instead, Taurasi's response to her was, wait till she gets to the pros, we're going to light her up.
Right.
Basically, wait till you're playing with grown women and you're not playing with 18-year-olds. And I was like, it doesn't feel like the time or place to say that.
Right. Yeah.
Why can't
just let
this is good
breathe.
for everybody.
Yeah, right.
This is good for everybody. Even LeBron said it was back off of her. This all Don Staley realized it and said it back off of her. She did, maybe on purpose or not on purpose, she did a service for the whole sport. Enjoy it, recognize it, and it is competitive, and she lost, but don't go at her. And I thought that was a little much, but the Phoenix Mercury already put out an advertisement for their game against the Fever called "The Goat versus the Rook."
Oh,
they took immediately, and I'm like. That's smart.
Yeah. No, of course it is.
Go after it now.
Right.
Go after it now because she's going to be a curiosity in the WNBA. I will be very curious to see what the ratings are for that league now, if it changes at all, or if this was, and it could just be because a lot of great players are in the WNBA right now. A lot of known quantity names are in the WNBA now. It hasn't really totally changed the dynamic of the viewing experience. So does she carry over, or was this a collegiate thing and a great story from, if you build it, they will come type of mentality with her? I don't know. So I guess we'll find out. But I think it's cool for the sport just in general that this happened over the last year and a half or so.
No, I think what's going to happen is I bet you she is not going to get some of those shots off, but I guarantee you that passing's probably going to translate. I mean, I don't see
You
how
think their ratings are going to go way up, the WNBA?
WNBA ratings have gone up for like 10 years over.
But
so.
I mean, like what happened in women's basketball was an exponential difference with her. I wonder if that's going to happen.
It will.
I don't.
You want to know why it will?
I don't
Because
know.
I've always said with the WNBA that their secret sauce over in that league is because of the time that they play. They play over the summer. The only other sport on is baseball. And if you don't like baseball, there's nothing on. And so that's what I said about the WNBA for a while is it's only a matter of time before people really start watching because you get hoops in the summer.
Yeah.
And if the quality of play, if you watch it, it is very, very good. I think it will translate because guess what? That Saturday or Sunday afternoon where there is nothing on except for baseball, if you're not a baseball fan, you're going to turn that game on. So it's the time of the year that's actually going to really help them. I think yes, ratings will go up.
As for the men's game tonight, I'll talk more about it later in the show, but I don't like Purdue tonight.
Yeah, no,
I really,
no.
I mean, I don't know how you like anybody against UConn at this point,
Right.
just the
UConn's
way they're kind
killing
of
everybody.
Right, it's like the South Carolina thing. They're just blowing the doors off
Yeah.
people. Like it's hard to picture them losing to anybody. But even more so, if you watched the other night against Alabama, like I think Zach Edey's getting way too much criticism. I think he's a good player, and he's not one-dimensional. He's not just tall. Like it's none of that stuff. Like I actually think he's a very good player. But their bigs are way more athletic than him.
Yep.
And
Right.
move around way more than him. And I see a scenario by which he gets in foul trouble tonight trying to guard those dudes. Like, if I'm UConn, I ain't afraid of him. I'm going right at him.
Yeah,
In the
for
same
sure.
way I didn't love, like, NC State's big man is not going to be able to handle this.
Yep.
And it worked out that way. Like, they didn't have to double team him. He had to go farther out in the perimeter, and he's shooting shots that are out of his range. And now all of a sudden he's not doing all these little magic tricks. He doesn't have to be double teamed, and they got held to 50 points, right? They had no offense
Right.
anymore. I think the opposite's going to happen tonight. I think the UConn big men are just a touch too athletic for this guy. And I think if I'm them, I'm just going at him and just see what happens. One, either to shake his confidence, you hope, or two, get him in foul trouble. And if he gets in foul trouble, they're done.
Yeah, it's over.
I mean, they're
done.
totally
Yep.
done. So I really like UConn tonight. And I actually, I don't expect a blowout because I think Purdue's kind of a little too good for that, but I don't think it's going to be particularly close or be a buzzer beater or anything like that. I think UConn is short of unforeseen circumstances like their big men get in foul trouble somehow, and then all of a sudden they got a bad mismatch with him. I don't see how UConn loses tonight.
This one reeks of the UConn has a comfortable lead the whole time. Probably not a blowout, but like they're going to be up by 8 to 10 points and kind of hold that lead for
They're
a while.
one of those teams, they go in these spurts where they
Yep.
go in these 10-0 runs,
Yep.
and then the game kind of spirals on you. So we'll see. All right, the other thing from college basketball is the shock today, which is John Calipari is bolting Kentucky to go to Arkansas. So this reads to me like I don't think he would have left if it wasn't for an SEC school, because I think he wants to stick it to them. Like, it really reads to me like, oh, you guys don't love me.
Right.
You don't realize how good you've had it with
Yeah.
me. I'm going to show you. Like, I don't think he would have run for the UCLA, like a good job, the
Yeah.
UCLA job or something like that. I don't think so, like where he goes far away from them. I think he took this job partially because he wants to stick it to these people that have been needling him
Yep.
for not going particularly far the last few years and forgetting how much they win. And whether that carries over to Arkansas or not, I don't know. And we'll see who replaces him. But that's how I read it. It felt very, I'd love to ask B. Mitch about this because he went and signed with the Giants and the Eagles to stick it to the Redskins.
Right.
Like he was going to go play somewhere, but he's openly talked about how, oh, you don't want me? Watch this.
You're
and I'm
right.
going to go play against you. It felt that way to me like, okay, did he want to leave? Probably. Like, are these people beyond up as you know what constantly? Yeah. Like, was the standard maybe a little too high? Yes. Like, it definitely was. But he's like, okay, you don't love me anymore. I'm going to make you miss me.
Right.
It's really what it felt. And he's like, I'm not going anywhere unless it's facing you twice a year so I could stick it to you.
Well, and I would also love to see what's happening behind the scenes because I'm guessing, like, you now need NIL money. You need legitimate NIL money now.
Yeah.
I'm guessing because of the way we were hearing about how for not just because of this past time they were bounced, but for years now, certain boosters don't like him and then all of a sudden weren't backing him as much. I'm guessing some of the NIL money was starting to dry up a little bit, or you could see it on the horizon that people were getting irked about it. And he's going, I'm going to go somewhere else. And it doesn't matter anymore in college sports where you go as long as you have the money. And the Tyson money is over there in Arkansas. So I'm going to go over there and watch. I'll be able to build a team real fast. We'll be able to compete real fast. And you're going to miss me because you're not going to have someone that can do the same things that I can do.
I already saw like a bunch of people tweet like they're going to go get Dan Hurley. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, he's kind of a Northeast guy.
Right.
So I'm like, so I don't know. And I don't know. I mean, they'd have to offer him an astounding amount of money to get him to walk away from that because I don't know the last time you checked, but he's about to win his second straight national championship and predicted it 4 years ago and said, it's coming. Watch out. We're going to come get you. And so they don't seem to be like, they're not at no disadvantage there. So if he likes being there and they're winning a ton, it's going to take an obnoxious offer, I think, to get him. This is not like the Washington coach to Alabama, Saban, where he was like, I can't turn that down. Like, because he even knows, like, this is a one-off in Washington. Like we got this great quarterback and this great receiver. We made the most of it. You know, we got really, really, really close, but we're not replicating. Like he knows that.
Yep.
So I'm going to go to the place that's got the chance to win a lot. I don't think Hurley has to look in Kentucky and go, that's greener pastures. Like they've won more championships in the last 20 years by like fivefold over Kentucky. So why would you leave that? The one I think they should go get is that Alabama coach. Like I think they ought to try to get him if they can get him out of there, which I'm sure that they're going to pay him a ton of money to stick around. They've been kind of on the cusp for a while now.
Sure.
Like they're the SEC team that's been on the cusp for a while now. He clearly knows how to recruit. They've had top level players. Brandon Miller was just playing there. They play at a very high pace. They win a lot. They go deep in the tournament. That's who I'd go get. If I'm Kentucky, I'd try to get
I don't think he plays Alabama, though.
I don't think, well, I think he's about to get a big fat raise.
Well, and
he's going to get a massive raise because they don't want him to go. They don't need to lose Saban and that guy in the same year. That doesn't need to happen.
And you and I have talked about this. Alabama now, from a business perspective, is now like the biggest school in the country when it comes to that side of things. It's only a matter of time before they start winning in every sport. So they're not going to stunt that growth. Is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
So
if I am also, by the way, if I'm Kentucky, I ain't crying about Calipari leaving. Right. I actually think this goes both ways. Let's see how you do at a program that doesn't have the history like this, when all things are equal now and all the money is going to matter. And, you know, I'm sure you'll get some recruits to come play for you because you're John Calipari, but we got more money than you do. And we got the backdrop of 8 trillion banners sitting up here. So let's see how you do. So, like, I feel like this is a pretty good divorce. Like, I think they were sick of him. If you just listen to them the last couple of years with them losing early in the tournaments, they're sick of him. And he said, like, well, I got to change. Like, he was funny because he was kind of saying things like, okay, let me get this straight. You don't want me to get the best recruits in America to come here because they're only going to be here for a year because apparently that doesn't work. Like, having the best players doesn't work anymore. That's what you're telling me. Having the best players doesn't work anymore. What do you want me to do? You want me to recruit lower tier players and make them better? That's not what I do. And Arkansas is going, if you want to bring five-star kids here and they only play here for 1 year, we're actually down with that. But can he pull that off anymore, just off on his name, when all things are more equal now? I don't know. So I actually think that I have a feeling this one is not going to work out. I think he did this out of spite. I think he did it to like try to show them. I think he did it out of ego, and I don't think it's actually going to work for him. I think he's going to go there. I think he's going to find it to be tough sledding, and they're going to have no problem finding a replacement of a very high caliber at Kentucky. This is a pretty good. I think I'm sick of you. You're sick of me. Let me go somewhere else, but I'm going to go and be your nemesis. We'll see if that works out. If I had to take a guess, Kentucky's going to keep winning. He's going to have a hard time doing it. That's just my guess.
No, that's what I was alluding to, though. He's friends with, I had to look it up real quick. He's friends with John Tyson, the heir to Tyson, like chicken.
Yeah.
They already said he's getting $5 million plus for NIL funds in Arkansas from him.
Yes.
That basically.
Well, he probably said to him, the only way I'm going there is I have to be able to win, which means show me the money I can give to the kids.
That's him because he's an alum of Arkansas. That basically, that's unlimited money from that company.
Tyson Chicken?
Yes.
Do they give chicken to KFC?
I don't know.
Because if they do,
I don't know.
There's going to be some very angry Kentucky people. Excuse me?
I don't know who they get, who they supply with. But that is basically what I was reading last night, was like, this is between those two guys that essentially he was going, all I need is the money. So if you make the money happen, I can get you winning pretty fast here, and that's exactly
well,
what's
that's true.
about to start happening.
I believe they'll start winning, but I don't think it's going to be that easy. I don't think he's just going to show up and do that.
I think what happens.
Patino just went to St. John's, but it's different. St. John's hadn't won in a while.
Yeah.
Arkansas has been winning.
Right.
Like they've actually been very good. Like the last few years. It's not like they haven't been.
I think this is the lesson of why Michigan was always super like on the line about Harbaugh. Like this is the danger. What happens when you hand a coach like a lifetime contract, essentially that. All of a sudden, if you aren't winning like that, people get restless because they're going, why did we give you the lifetime contract then if you're not going to get past the first round, essentially? So I get why they're freaking out, but also you know how this goes. When you have a deal like that, you get to walk around and do whatever the hell you want. So I'm sure that was rubbing people the wrong way, too.
This is also a great storyline for the SEC.
Oh, of course.
It's incredible. Like him going back there. Oh, it's going to be incredible. I bet you. I 100% believe Patino calls Kentucky and tries to go back. They will not take him back because he's old. But, like, I 100% believe that he will try to do that.
Right.
And that'd be an incredible story if that happened. But they're not. He's too old. So he's going to be if I'm them, I'm going big game hunting on the Alabama coach. And the Alabama people will probably go, no chance. We're not losing both our coaches in 1 year. So then what are they going to do? They'll probably go after Hurley, but the offer would have to be so outrageous for him to think about it, because why would he leave what he's leaving? He's got it really good there. Like, why would he go anywhere else? So who's in line after that? I don't know. Yeah, but the line will be long. I mean, big name coaches, that's an incredible job. Like, so that's big name coaches will be lined up to try to get it.
I also love how this leaked too. It was twofold. It was one side was the Arkansas boosters were finding out it was gonna possible to happen, and it started getting out of control. The other, did you see that like he has a clause in that lifetime contract? If he talks to any other team, he has to tell Kentucky. So that's that. It started from both. It basically went both sides because
I'm talking to them
because you're not going to mess up your lifetime contract, so you're going to tell them that you have to tell talking.
But honestly, I think they're happy they're out of it.
Yeah,
I think this is like, we're not in love with you anymore, and he's like, well, I'm not in love with you either. And so they broke up. It's a divorce.
I think that's a great clause too, because if you're Kentucky too, like let's say he was starting to talk, but you still really liked him, or the fans start freaking out, you go, you're not going anywhere essentially.
How much you want to bet some of those Kentucky boosters gave some money to the Arkansas people to get him to take the job?
Maybe.
They probably want him at it. They're done with him.
Yeah.
They're done with him. His shelf life was over with them. All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk about Stephen Strasburg and the official retirement that interesting how it got leaked. We'll do that next. Bram, watch the show ESPN 630, the Sports Capital. Over the weekend, if you read the transaction wires, and a few reporters still do, it just popped up that Stephen Strasburg retired from the Washington Nationals, ending months of speculation of
really
not
years,
years,
honestly.
Yeah, not if it was going to happen, just when. Because he can't throw the ball anymore, and so there was no chance of him ever being a pitcher again. He's got severe nerve damage. Went through a number of different procedures to try to address it, and sounds like, at least at last check, he doesn't do a lot of interviews, but at last check has life issues with it. And just in terms of not that he's in any danger or anything, but like he can't lift his arm above his head, like stuff like that, like little things like that. Not little things, big things like that. So anyway, let's see. They were going to have some kind of retirement that wasn't officially announced in September last year. That got leaked out, and then no one confirmed it, and then it just didn't happen. And then started the weird process of he said about what they wanted him to do, what he was asked to do, what he didn't agree to do, just to have the actual official retirement. And then it got weird in the spring because it went away. 'Cause, again, this isn't about if, it was when.
Yeah.
And, the winter rolled around. No one's expecting him to make a comeback. And they get to the spring, and then they're like, when's he going to retire? And you get these weird... we expect him to show up here.
Yeah.
And we're all like, to do what?
Right.
Stare at everybody and make people uncomfortable?
You have Mike Rizzo talking about mentorship, which every single person is like, have you seen the guy?
Yeah, that's not his thing.
Right.
Yeah, it's not his thing. He's not going to be a life coach.
And sorry, throwing 100 miles an hour ain't exactly coachable, guys.
No. So then it started to read like what it was, which was, well, he better be in compliance with his contract. And it's like, come on, man.
Right.
I understand I wouldn't want to pay him whatever the amount of money is for the amount of time that he's actually performed since he signed this extension either. But that's your fault for giving it to him. You didn't have to. No one made you do it. And of all people that would have known about his injury history, it's you guys.
Right.
How many times did the guy get injured before he had that miracle season where they won the World Series? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
And I don't blame him for giving him the contract, but hey, listen, that's the price of doing business in sports. Guys get hurt.
Yep.
Like that happens. Like, I'd be more pissed if it's like a Rendon situation where you're like, does this guy even try? Like, I'm not even sure he's trying. Strasburg tried. It's just his body failed him, unfortunately.
Right. And not to mention, I always say this about Strasburg, too. He cut you a deal the first time around.
That's right.
Well. Like, I mean, that's a factor there.
Not that he was owed the golden parachute he ended up with.
Sure, but he could have gotten more on the open market.
Correct.
Could have gotten a lot more on the open market, actually. And he signed early. He was a
And-
Boris client and signed early. You know what that means?
I would have liked to have, had they not signed Rendon or Strasburg, I'd like to take stock about where we are now with this process. It'd be a very,
same
you
place.
think?
Same
I think so,
place.
too. I don't think
Yeah.
they would have spent a lot of money either way.
No, because
I don't think so.
Because looking at the books, they haven't spent elsewhere. It's been Strasburg and Corbin. That's it.
So what? The Lerners, they were shamed into giving Strasburg the contract because they had just won, and I guess they felt like if they didn't do that, it would just be so transparent that they don't want to spend money.
Well, I think I've said this before too. I think they have a soft spot for certain players. Like Zimmerman got multiple big deals with them. Strasburg got multiple big deals with them. If you're the homegrown star and you have a market rate, not a Bryce Harper rate, you pretty much are going to come back. Like that's pretty much how I felt. They have a soft spot for the players that have sentimental moments, I guess is what I'll say. Because remember, like Harper, they were actually never really close on. And then I think they realized how cold the market was on him and played chicken the whole step of the way. And then the Phillies were like, what do you want? And they gave it to him. Because remember, he actually took less money year over year than the Nationals offered. It was the Nationals deferrals that went till he was 50 or something, whatever it was. So.
I'm just glad this is over with because it just seemed petty.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got all this guaranteed money. There's nothing you can do about it unless for some reason he decides to give some back to you, which I don't know any human on earth that would do that. It doesn't even make any sense. So just dragging it along didn't make any sense. He clearly had no hope of ever playing again.
Right.
So can't we just be nice about all of this and move on? And finally, that's where we are. And, most people, I thought, landed on the right side of let's just remember the good stuff and get over all this, whatever this was the last couple of years.
Sure. Yeah, right. No, I would say that, but it just made me shake my head about the organization. Why did you do that and then not have your statements prepared and have everything come out? Like it had to come out randomly on a Saturday afternoon or Saturday night, I think is when it came out. And then all the statements came out. It was just a player of that caliber didn't deserve that way for everyone to figure out that's how he was retiring.
They've had issues, to put it lightly, with PR for a long time.
Exactly.
These things they're just embarrassing happen.
Correct. This isn't Anibal Sanchez retiring. This is the guy who's probably going to have the second number retired in your franchise's history.
Some AP reporter who just sees that cross a wire and goes, "What?"
Right.
Exactly. And then has to call Major League Baseball to make sure was that a mistake.
Yeah.
Because then they're like. They find out it isn't, and they're like, well, I guess Stephen Strasburg retired.
Yes, exactly.
And then the Nationals, were caught with their pants down again. So they filed that without having statements prepared?
Right, exactly.
It had to be filed by the team.
Right.
Right. It's weird.
Yeah. No, definitely is. Like, the only thing I can think of is, like, were they like, oh, do we save any money by filing it right now? And they're like, yeah, you save $300. Yeah, do it. Like, that's the only thing I can think of.
I know. I don't understand it. As far as, the money goes of, did he structure anything with them? I don't care.
Yeah.
Well, I do and I don't. One, I don't care because, I don't care. This doesn't affect their, in the NFL salary cap. If there was a salary cap effect, I'd be like, I want to know what the details are because I want to see how this is going to affect the roster moving forward. That's not the case here. But I do on the other side of it because they haven't spent very much in the last few years.
Yeah.
I kind of want to know what it is just so I can kind of brace myself for when are they going to wake up and want to spend some money again.
Right.
And so I'm on the fence on that. But just in general of the intrigue of what did they do to cut a deal to get him to retire, I kind of don't care.
Right. Right. No, I don't care either. I think they said that he is going to make some kind of certain deferrals or something like that. I could care less either. You play in a sport where your contract is guaranteed. Doesn't matter what happens. It's guaranteed. So he gets that money either way.
The money.
And I'm always pro player over pro owner. I've always been that way. And so if was it the learner saying, oh, yeah, man, just retire. And then him and his agent are going,
no,
we're not doing that because we got to give the money back or the contract gets voided. No effing way. Like, he's going to, quote,
are you going to give me $20 million to do something else here?
That's right. Exactly. Right. So my thing was always, too, I always thought that was a Nationals thing last year where they were saying, oh, yeah, we're going to have Stephen Strasburg Day. You just got to retire. And they were kind of going, that sounds good, but what are you going to do about the $80 million that you owe me over the next couple years or whatever the number is? I think it's even higher than that. But, yeah, I was never buying that he was just going to retire, especially when they said it without any kind of details on that. And I don't care how it got, how it gets settled out. I'm glad he's getting paid.
Yeah. Let's see. The Nats lost 2 of 3 at home to Philadelphia. They scored 5 runs in the 3 games combined. So, we're in for a long year with them again. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah. I mean,
they won yesterday. Thumbs up, guys. Good job.
I mean, I will say this. The early takeaways are the pitching is going to come back to earth even further this year. And 2, there aren't a lot of runs being scored. And 3, we're only 2 starts in, but Josiah Gray, not great return so far on the season. So
I actually thought he was pretty good last year. But,
after the All-Star break, he was not.
Yeah,
he was pedestrian.
He's a number 3 starter.
Well,
maybe
at best.
Yeah.
I mean, the last 2 games haven't been good.
Listen,
Corbin was the first one. Corbin was the first one to go past 6 innings.
Time is going the wrong way on those trades. It's not looking good.
Correct.
I didn't like it at the time, but I didn't know what I didn't know about prospects. I'm not going to sit there and pretend that I did. I just didn't like what was going on, and now the returns are looking ugly. Actually,
do you want me to go deeper in how things are getting uglier? Have you read what's happening with Dylan Cruz?
No.
Dylan Cruz apparently is striking out at a rate that's like literally unreal right now. Like, he cannot see minor league pitching. He
was number 2 pick, right?
Correct.
Oh, Lord. Well, I'll give him time. I'll try to say
someone put it. I forget who tweeted. Someone put it best as this: it's not a thing, but it's not a thing at this moment.
Yeah, because all the Orioles players are hitting 600 right now.
That's right. But he's, I think he's high A ball right now, and
high A.
It's either high A or he's double A. He might be double A. I might have misspoke on that. But basically, he's not seeing the ball well right now and just striking out, like constantly striking out in every single game. So,
Okay.
So your blue chip number 2 overall pick is, I'm not trying to say anything right now, but it's just the radar's going off on that one.
I for a while haven't liked the way things have been going in general.
Well,
just like all of it, none of it added up to me like, oh, I see the building blocks of the rebuild. I don't. I haven't. I think they have a few nice players, and the players that they traded, the returns have to live up to that,
right.
And they haven't.
This is where it opens up to a bigger conversation, and I don't know what's being spent. I don't know who's responsible for it, but this team literally can't develop anybody at all, both pitching and developmentally. You got C.J. Abrams from the Padres. You didn't develop him. He's their best player that they've done. Keibert Ruiz, the other good player you have positionally, you didn't develop him. You got him from the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Something's got to give here. Why can't you develop anything? I saw a stat on opening day. The Nationals have the least amount of starting pitching grown in their own farm system in the entire majors over the last 5 or 6 years. That's baffling that they can't develop anything on both sides of the plate.
Orioles lost 2 of 3, actually, at Pittsburgh.
Lost the series.
I'll be going, I'll tell you my story in a minute for opening day.
Yeah.
Lost a series, not scored a ton of runs. Mm-hmm. Their minor league AAA team is scored 800 runs in 10 days.
That's right.
So I'll it's early in the baseball. It's way too early to make judgments.
Yeah,
so early.
And Pirates are good. Pirates are actually starting off well.
The public pressure is going to continue to ramp up.
Sure.
And most people are, I think, saying the right thing. Just put the best 26 players on the team. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Why is that hard?
Yeah.
Why is that hard to do? Why not do that? Unleash the Kraken. What are we doing? Just do it.
Unleash the bird.
Yeah, unleash the bird, Han. From Shams, who went on, I don't know, whatever show he goes on today, said this quote on Bronny James, who last week, I don't think we had the short show, we didn't get around to it, where he said he is putting himself into the draft. However, with
Right.
the caveat of he could go back. He's in the transfer
Yep.
portal, and if the draft analysts don't like what they see, he could go back.
Exactly.
Here's a quote from Shams on him. When I talk to NBA teams, there's a clear consensus that as a defender, he's already at that caliber of an NBA defender, which is read, we're coming to some kind of consensus to excuse ourselves when we use a first-round pick on him because we're going to try to attract LeBron James.
Right. Yeah. Exactly right.
That's what that quote is.
Yeah. Yep.
We're telling ourselves he can play at this level in some fashion to give ourselves the room and permission structure to draft him with a first-round pick because he's not going to accept a second-round pick.
That's right.
It will be a first-round pick because that's the guaranteed money.
Exactly.
If you get to the second-round selection part, you're only guaranteed for a year or two, so he's going to only do this if he gets a first-round pick and probably in the top 20, if not a little bit higher. And it's all on the idea that they're going to get LeBron James to leave Los Angeles and go to their team.
Correct. No, I mean, that's exactly right.
Unless he forces the Lakers to take him, which they're kind of, well, I don't know. Do they have any picks? They probably don't have any picks.
If they do, it's
If I remember right, they
second.
don't have any
Yeah.
picks.
I mean,
Yeah,
I don't think they do either.
Yeah. Everybody's trying to twist themselves into knots to figure out ways to how are we going to draft him
Right.
and not look foolish because he's probably not ready to be an NBA player for real at this point. Let's just say he's very good at defense. And his dad's really, really good at basketball.
I mean,
Why do we do that?
I still lament that if this is a real thing, the Wizards will take him.
Look, I don't have a problem with that.
Is
If
that the
it
best player available?
guarantees that he's going to show up here for a couple of years, don't hit me with the like, well, that's going to stunt our rebuild. Is it?
Well,
Is it?
I've also lamented as well. You know, Ted gets to say his franchise is the only one to have Michael Jordan and LeBron James play on it.
That'd be fun. Goats. Goat City.
Goat City.
Goat City.
No championships, but Goat City.
No championships. Not even close with Jordan. Did they even make the playoffs?
Oh, I don't know. I was like 10.
Oh, remember. Those games were fun.
I mean, that's
Those
right.
games were fun.
That's what I've heard. Is that it was a club.
Man, those games were
Club
fun.
Wizards.
People sat in their seats and didn't walk around
That's right.
courtside. They'd do that.
The Hennessy Lounge would fill up real fast.
Uh-huh. All right, let me do a bunch of NFL things. One, interesting storyline about, well, at least rumors on old Micah Parsons. Did you see all this over the
I did
weekend?
not.
Okay. And this is from, so this is one of us, sports talk radio host. Okay. But it's, hold on, I forgot his name. Oh, Sean. He's been around a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, he's not new or hot taker or all that. You won't see his name just pop up on all the
Yeah,
stuff.
that's
In
right,
fact, I think they're, like, down there in Dallas, they don't have a lot of the hot taker guys. They don't. Skip Bayless left town, and they got, like, actually normal, level-headed people down there.
I think
that's why Jerry doesn't
need it down there. I mean,
yeah, they're probably like everyone else still hyperbolic about us.
Right.
We actually need to be level-headed about
correct.
the whole
Yeah,
thing.
right.
This is on his report. He says that here we go. Here's the quote. Sean Sharif. He's been there a long time. He's one of the people that does the interviews with Jerry every week on one of the stations. I've heard from way too many people this offseason, and I'm talking about at least 4 different people that have told me that Micah is worn thin here. I don't know how much this is true and how much it actually hurts his reputation. I don't know whether this is the behavior of a typical superstar, and I don't know how damaging it is, but all I know is this. I've heard from way too many people that if Micah Parsons was out of here, there would be a decent amount of people inside the Ford Center at the Star in Frisco smiling and breathing a sigh of relief.
Ooh.
Let's go.
And that doesn't come out of nowhere. Like, those hosts talk to a lot of people.
I mean, I know what it is. I can tell you what it is.
What is that?
He does a show.
Oh, that he does his podcast?
He does a show.
Yeah, but what, like, there's probably one guy on a team that does that nowadays.
I understand, but like when you do a show and you start giving your opinion about everything,
Yeah.
it's problematic when it's about your team.
Right.
Someone's going to get offended by it.
Yeah, right.
Someone is. Like, what do you like? You can't do a show and do the, hey, we're all accountable to that loss to the Packers.
Right.
He's got to say something.
Yeah, right.
And then when he's cozying up to other players that come on his show, that doesn't look good.
Yeah, but everyone's like that.
I mean, I hear you. I'm just saying, like,
I mean,
could see
we have
where
to have a weird conversation there because then we just get into old school versus new school because
I hear you.
Old school freaking hates the jersey exchange after every game, even though there was just a heartbreaking loss that the fans are crying over, essentially.
I'm not against new school. What I'm saying is the danger of being part of it. When you're an active player and the star active player, this is the other side of that.
Right.
That, like, the people you play with, they're not part of your podcast. They actually want to win. They want to know you're on their side. You're the big star. No one blames you for anything. Like, their defense got destroyed. You hear anybody yelling that Micah Parsons sucked? No. He's taking none of the blame for any of that. So I'm sure there's some people there that got roasted over the last few months that are sitting there going, where's your responsibility for giving up 800 yards to Green Bay on that day? Like, aren't you our best player? What happened, pal? Now, I read a lot of things that were like, and even in this article, even the guy who wrote this goes, I can't ever see Jerry Jones letting this guy walk out of the building. Like, he backed that up. Like, that's why I think they're grounded. He, like, backed it up with, this isn't New York where they hot take, this guy's going to be out of here type of thing.
Yeah.
It was I'm just hearing there's a lot of guys that he's rubbing the wrong way, and they don't love being around him all the time. But there's no chance on earth I could ever see Jerry Jones letting this guy walk out the door. So before we get too hot and heavy about Dan Quinn's our coach right now, and maybe he'd want to go somewhere else, and how cool would that be if he was playing for us? I don't think so.
Yeah.
So I'm not willing to buy into anything like that, but it's worth monitoring, especially next year when he's under contract, year 4, right, for him.
Right.
So they'll pick up the 5th-year option, which means he's heading towards, we got to talk about this, and their team's weaker than it was a year ago, with a coach that'll be on the hot seat, with a quarterback who will either be there or won't be there. And if he is, it'll be on a final year, and it better be good. And, oh, by the way, their team's not better. Like, if that actually goes the wrong way, like, what if they end up 3rd place in the NFC East?
Right. Yeah.
Well, things will get weird.
Yes, correct.
Because, like, the Eagles, they got a better roster than them. Now.
Right.
Now they do. Like, will they be better than them? I don't know. Like, we're a total wild card. Like, until I see what our team looks like, it's hard to know what we're going to be. I can't imagine we're 4-13 again, but like, I don't know if we're good or not. Who knows? Like, we got to put our team together. The Giants are kind of a wild card too. Dimes off of that year. Is he better? Is he not? Because actually in free agency, the more I look at it, they did it all right. They picked up Burns. They got Burns and Thibodeau.
Oh, yeah. No, I didn't hate what they did.
They're getting away from the Wink Martindale system, I thought, which was way to put their corners on islands, and they're young or not that good. You know, and like, I just think bad scheme for the personnel that they had. So I'm willing to hear out like they might be. I don't like that they lost Saquon. I think that's stupid. But like, I'll hear out that they'll be more competitive than they were a year ago. So that's where Dallas, who's taking a dip on their roster, have been infighting a little bit, right? The family members are going at each other. The Dak thing is weird. McCarthy's on the hot seat. I don't know.
Right.
Like that is a recipe for 8-9. It is, like, or 9-8. And if we're better than, people think we're going to be, or our quarterback comes out shot like a cannon like C.J. Stroud did, maybe they're a 3rd place team in the division. Like, that's possible. And if it is, it's all going to unravel. And then we'll see how much everybody likes Micah.
Right.
I fall into the category of there's just no way they're going to let him. He's too good. Like, I can't at his age see them moving on. But things could get real weird down there.
It's also welcome to having a superstar sometimes.
Correct.
Sometimes they're going to do extracurricular things.
And he is a superstar.
Right. So it's like
he's a ridiculous player.
Exactly.
Every time I watch, when we get ready to play him, I'm like, oh God.
Right.
Like when I watch him, because he moves all over. It's not like Bosa where you're like, can we block him? We'll find out. But he's not going anywhere. He's going to be there. This dude, they never know where they're going to line him up.
It's also hilarious that they're going to go off on that, and yet the Kelceys do a podcast every single week, and both of them have won Super Bowls while doing said podcast. Kelce,
and that could be part of the difference here. Like, once you win, it kind of buys you equity to do things like this. He didn't say in this article that that's the reason. I'm surmising it.
Probably,
that, like, his, if you're not winning, Dak's getting killed every week. Killed. No one kills this guy.
Right.
Like, their defense was the reason why they lost in that playoff game. They got roasted in that playoff game. I don't hear everybody going after him going, oh, I thought you were the best defensive player in the league. What happened, guy? Instead, it's all like Dak stinks or Dak's not good. It's not Dak stinks. It's Dak's just not good enough.
Right.
That's all it is. He's fine, but he's not good enough.
Right.
The other report down there is CeeDee Lamb is already starting the hold in.
Yeah.
So this is why Jerry didn't do anything in free agency. He's got to pay his own guys.
Yeah, correct. Exactly.
And I got a funny feeling. We got 2 weeks left?
Yep.
Dak Prescott getting traded in the next 2 weeks would not surprise me. It honestly wouldn't surprise me.
Who's their quarterback?
Trey Lance.
Oh
and
my
a draft
God,
pick.
they're gonna freak out if that's
Trey Lance
the case.
and a draft pick. But they're going to give CeeDee Lamb the money. They give Micah the money.
Penix.
They have to. Penix? Maybe. They actually probably have to trade up to get him.
Okay.
I don't even think they could actually get him where they are.
Right.
And that's not only have they not taken a first-round pick on a quarterback in a long time, they haven't traded up. And they don't do
Right.
that. That's
Yeah.
actually they don't actually do that, which is their interesting test case. We should go because they've drafted well. You should go through and look. They don't do crazy things on draft night.
No, of course. Yeah. No, they're actually super sound.
Very sound.
Yeah.
So they trust their boards. Chair trusts his
They have boards.
I ain't got time to jack with you. All right, so CeeDee Lamb's starting to put their feet to the fire. He wants his money.
Right.
He's going to get it. There's like Gallup go. They don't have another receiver.
Correct. Yeah.
Cooks is old. He goes to a million different teams.
You can't go in without him.
No. Let's see. We now know, I didn't get around to this on Friday, Stephon Diggs erased the final 3 years of his contract
Yep.
so that he'll be a free agent after this year.
Mm-hmm. That's why.
That's
this
quite
trade
a bet
happened.
on himself.
Yep. It's also a pretty good bet for the or a pretty crazy bet for the Texans. A second-round pick for a rental of Diggs. I mean,
A second-round pick that they just got.
no, of course, no.
They already have other second-round picks.
They have plenty of draft capital. Don't get me wrong, but I was just kind of like, oh, that's
Yeah, it doesn't
interesting.
mean they can't sign the guy again.
No, of course, absolutely. But like, it was definitely interesting. It was like, oh, wow, you guys are really giving up a second-round pick for 1 year of this guy.
From Diggs's perspective, though, okay, so he's not going to do that with Buffalo because his numbers have been trailing off the last couple of years,
Right.
So, like, he's not going to do the let's erase this and play it 1 year and let's find out. He has to go somewhere else. But when you go somewhere else to do it, it is also the risk of, are you going to look like that guy again in the new offense? And he's a tinderbox. Like,
Right.
what if he's not getting his targets and his catches and he's not involved the way he wants to be involved? He's going to start freaking out on everybody?
Right.
Like,
Well, he can't do that because he's only on a 1 year deal now. Like, he knows he's got to kind of.
that's the other side of it, though. He knows it has to happen. He needs to prove himself again.
Right.
I love this idea. I think it's a little crazy to do what he did, especially as an NFL player at his age, to go, I don't want all that money that was owed to me on the other side, assuming you're going to see it on the other side.
Right.
Go ask Odell Beckham about that, who it's different. He's had injuries. But he has a hard time getting any kind of real money like that again.
Sure.
He's going year to year, team to team, getting whatever he can get from somebody. And, like, I don't know, Miami's apparently offered him stuff, but he hasn't liked whatever the deal is because it's probably not a high amount of money. It's probably like a low base with a lot of incentives. If you play, if you have catches, all this stuff. Diggs it's a risk what he did.
You also sent me the clip from the Buffalo Reporter saying that they were proving that they didn't have to use him in the second half of last season.
Well, did you hear what he said about Diggs freaking out?
Yeah,
I
one.
forgot to tell you because there's a curse word in
Yeah,
there, so we
right.
can't really play it. But like, this clip was Tim Graham, who's covered them
Yep.
forever. Did for ESPN for a long time. I don't know who he's with now, but did forever for a long time, and has covered them for. He was with the Buffalo News. He's covered them forever. He states in this podcast that he saw Diggs like say something to Josh Allen early in
Week
the season.
one. It was week one. It was after the Jets lost. 'Cause
Oh, right.
Who got hurt? Like, they were consoling. They were consoling somebody after
They
the
were
game.
consoling Allen because he threw like 5 picks. Remember?
Okay.
Rodgers got hurt and they lost anyway.
And they missed a field goal. Didn't they miss a field goal
They
too?
missed a field goal.
So it was
Allen was terrible.
Yeah, so it was their kicker. Maybe it was their kicker that was getting consoled
Maybe.
by a lot of people because they were going. It's week one essentially, like
Yeah.
keep your head up type deal.
And he said he heard Allen scream at him, it's one effing game.
Yeah,
To him.
'cause
Like,
Diggs-
chill out.
because Diggs went up to him. Yes.
Yes. Like, chill out. And this Tim Graham said, I didn't put it in my story because I didn't hear what Diggs said to initiate that.
Yep.
But then I heard him say this, and I'm like, either way, I can't believe
Eh.
it's a little protective.
I mean, not only from him because he said he also prefaced
Josh
it by
Allen screaming in the locker room at Stephon Diggs, it's one effing game, chill out, didn't make your story.
well, and not only that,
That's interesting.
He said it was during like the time media was there, so no other media member decided to say anything about that either. I find that
So
a
the
little.
Bills got that thing on lock up there.
I mean, I find that a little odd.
That's Degenerate Al and Maniac need to do a segment on, is our media covering the Bills or are they on the payroll of the Bills?
Right, because that's what I thought was actually the weirdest thing, because he did all this prefacing by going, this was during the open media session. And I'm going, if that was the case, how come you're the only one to say anything on this?
Well, all right, so think about the last couple of years now. The Al-Qaeda thing with Sean McDermott came out.
Right.
But that happened years ago.
Yes, exactly.
Right? Now, granted, listen, working for a team, covering a team, being around it, you hear all these stories.
Right.
Something like that, though, when it goes to that level of being so patently ridiculous,
right.
The idea that no one ever reported it or said it is a little much.
Yes.
Like, there's plenty of things. I'm not going to sit here and pretend there's plenty of things that I know that have happened down in Ashburn that I wouldn't report or talk about because I don't think it's newsworthy.
Yeah.
But after a game and a loss where Stephon Diggs is told to shut the F up by his quarterback, to not make the story is a little surprising.
Yeah.
Now we got the Al-Qaeda thing that nobody said anything about. The weird Diggs versus McDermott last summer. Remember, no one ever really clarified what did they talk about. Was he in the facility? Was he not in the facility?
Right.
They all just kind of let it go. That Buffalo media, not too tough on the team, are they?
Of course, yeah.
I mean, I think it sounded like that's not a bad market to go play and be in because they're not going to come at you with knives if you're up there.
Not at all.
Think about this. Like, McDermott is a very squirrely dude.
Yeah, right.
They don't cover him like he's nuts.
No, that's true. Yeah.
At all. All the things you're hearing about now, you're like, oh, wow. You mean those reporters had never heard this stuff before? Ever?
We had it all wrong. Degenerate Al and Maniac are the actual real reporters.
No. See, we found out they would back down too. The second that one guy said something nuts on their podcast, they apologize. If your name is Maniac and Degenerate Al, you apologize for nothing.
What did they say again?
He
They
said
had a
something
reporter
really
on.
sexist.
Did they have a report? Oh, yeah, that's right.
He said something
yeah.
really sexist,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
something ridiculous, like girls can't cover football. It was like
Yeah,
one of
that's
those
right.
type of
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
He's like, I like my women in the kitchen. I don't like them in my football games.
go,
And you're
yeah.
like, oh, God.
Yeah, that's right.
And Degenerate Al was like, I'm embarrassed.
Yeah.
He's like, but your name is Degenerate Al.
He's like,
What are you embarrassed? Embarrassed about what?
It's just a character. It's just a character.
It's just a character. My real name is Steve.
Yeah.
I'm a nice guy.
My name is Steve, and I work in IT.
Okay? I just do this for fun. I didn't really.
Don't
I didn't
steal
think
my stapler.
I was surprised. I was surprised when he said he'd come on our
right.
show. Welcome to the media, pal.
That's right. No, it was the reporter that said that, wasn't it, though? It wasn't them?
Yeah, the reporter said it.
Yeah.
And they apologized for it being on their podcast. You don't know how this works.
Oh, man.
Your show should have blown up off of
That's
that.
right.
This
Right.
is the place where people go and say crazy crap about the Bills.
That's right. Exactly.
But apparently in Buffalo, don't say anything bad about the Bills. They got that place
Soft.
on lock.
Soft. It's
Soft.
all about jumping through tables.
They're soft. Well, the media's soft. They're soft. They don't want to come at them.
Oh,
no. Look, come on now. How many examples do you need? Soft.
This is actually
Here, they get mad because the media will come after them.
Yeah.
I don't think as hard as they used to, but
Correct.
they will. But you saw Scott is screaming at Scott. They'll come at us. They'll come at the media here because they will ask tough questions and they will ask about stuff and they will hold their feet to the fire. Apparently in Buffalo.
This sounds about right because the Sabres haven't made the playoffs in like 10 years and you don't even hear.
Nobody's freaking out.
Yeah, no feet to the fire, nothing.
Meantime, they got 2 massive stars on their team.
Right.
They also blew it with their last major star. They injured him.
Yeah, right.
He had to be in
exactly.
traction.
Yes, correct.
Don't worry about it.
Eichel, yeah.
We'll get him next time.
Yeah.
Buffalo. You guys talk a big game.
Ooh.
So you're just in it for the fun of it.
Right.
You guys aren't serious about this.
Jumping through tables.
You like jumping through tables. You like going to the games,
Sing and
just
shout.
partying. Yeah. You like sing and shout. You don't really care about winning then, do you?
You need to ask Heather McDonough, what's going on
You're
up
just,
there?
what's going on up there?
You need to.
You imagine if Scott was the sports director in Buffalo? They'd hate him.
Scott would jump through tables. probably.
He definitely would. But then afterwards, he would ask Josh Allen about the 4th interception.
Right.
And they don't like that.
Man, this is actually kind of funny. Even
soft.
even think about Buffalo losing to the Chiefs. What was the story the next day?
What, good try?
No.
What was it?
Jason Kelsey with his shirt off in the suite, and then the feel good, him getting out of the suite and having the fan meet Taylor in the suite. Oh, conspiracy theory.
It's not a tough market.
It's not a tough market.
We found out.
And
listen,
Bills,
I think the same thing happened with Carolina, with Ron. He was surprised.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
He came to a market where they ask you tough questions.
Well,
and he was surprised.
basic
and
IQ questions too.
And he didn't like it.
Yeah,
he didn't like it.
Correct.
He didn't like it. And
guys.
Yeah. So guys.
Chewing Kime's head off for no reason.
Those Zooms were amazing.
Year one.
They're all on Zoom too, which is the most amazing part.
He wanted to tell Kime to shut the F up, but couldn't say
multiple times.
Yeah.
And then so it's like, not that I know a ton about the Carolina media, but it was pretty clear.
Right.
He told me the first couple of years he was like pointing to them. He's like, I don't know, man. And I'm like,
it's not that hard actually.
We just really want to win here, and we ask a lot of questions about everything because we're a very educated fan base.
Right.
I'm sorry that's something you're going to have to get used to, but you are going to have to get used to it.
Right, exactly.
No coach likes it, but you're just going to have to get used to it.
Hot take. Same colors. Bills are just the NFL's version of the Cubs now.
Ooh. Those people are going to be so angry you said that.
Why?
But you know what? I'm calling them soft because for Tim Graham to literally say, I heard this, saw it, didn't report it because they probably asked you not to.
And
of course they're going to ask you not to.
And what were Cubs fans for years and years? Oh man, we suck.
Yeah.
But we got next year, guys.
Yeah.
That's Bills fans.
Yeah.
Bills fans every year going, oh man, that was bad. Woe is us.
Yeah.
4 straight Super Bowls and we lost, but all right, we're gonna jump through tables again next year, guys.
They're gonna play again, right?
Because then everybody's like,
who's week 1?
Right.
They don't care. Bills Mafia.
Sold out season tickets. Still playing at a dumpy stadium. Those fans don't demand anything either, though. Oh, soft media and fans. I'll go ahead and say it.
Yeah, they're just there for the party.
Yeah, correct. They love their team because that's all we hear
about
them.
They love their team.
They love their team.
Love their team. Why is Diggs leaving that?
That's right.
It doesn't matter what he does.
Right.
They love you.
Mm-hmm.
What are you piss them off for? And with Josh Allen, they could win, dude. Why would you walk away from it?
Bills botched it. They should have actually had Andy Reid as their head coach. That's a perfect match.
Oh,
because Reid would have loved it.
Oh.
Buffalo wings every weekend.
Whoever wins the Super Bowl there.
You're stuck there because you're going to pay for anything.
For the rest of your life.
You're good.
Right.
Sign the check and your meals are free.
Oh, you won't have to. You'll get a mortgage for free. They don't care. You'll have everything for free. Everything. You could run for mayor. You win the Super Bowl there.
When I say Bills fans are soft, I am only talking about their attitude towards the team, not sitting out in 4-degree weather in the snow. I do want to clarify that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
tough conditions, but
you deserve all the accolades for that.
Fine, but no, now hearing all these little media stories, they're all accumulating.
It means the fans aren't demanding those types of
answers.
The
fans aren't demanding it. The reporters are willing to shuffle stuff under the rug. And don't get me wrong, we all do a little bit because I know too much and I can't talk about everything. But there's a lot of things that literally are not newsworthy, and it's just not worth.
Yes,
they're humans,
Correct.
Interacting with one another. I'm not going to report everything I know, but on one like that, if you cover the team on an independent media and you hear the star quarterback and the star receiver tell each other to F off after a week 1 loss
to a division rival,
after Rodgers got hurt,
right.
And it was the 3rd time that Allen's laid a dud against the Jets. They got his number.
Exactly.
That Salah's got his number. How do you not?
Ew.
And then months later go, well,
yeah. I debated whether saying anything. Well,
that report last year, unearthed all the things that everybody hates about McDermott. Remember that?
Yep.
What, you think the beat reporters there didn't know all this stuff?
Right.
Maybe the Al-Qaeda one might have been new, but I guarantee you know it. The Snyder stories are legendary. We all knew them.
Yeah, right.
You couldn't verify most of them, but we all knew them. That Al-Qaeda one probably could have been verified by 50 guys who were in the room.
Yeah, of course.
And they all would have been like, that day was crazy.
That was nuts.
Yeah, he was he came out and he had a PowerPoint and he was all about Al-Qaeda.
He said they had great teamwork.
Great teamwork.
You don't forget that one.
Well coordinated.
Right.
They knew what they were doing. They had a game plan. Yeah. Soft Bills Mafia. Oh, well,
Not much of a mafia.
well.
Not much of a
Not
mafia.
much of a mafia. Nope. Mm-mm-mm.
We're on
to you.
We're on to you.
We are on to you.
You're just hiding behind that Zubaz.
It's apparent McDermott, Diggs, and a couple others would have lasted 20 minutes here. And they would have gotten very upset very fast.
It's part of the reason why I have a love-hate relationship with our fan base. Our fan base is very knowledgeable, but sometimes everyone goes full Pepe Sylvia. And it's like, guys, let's reel it in. Reel it back in. Reel it
We're
back.
triggered. We're triggered.
Yeah. Reel it back in, guys.
There's a expect the worst mentality a little bit. There's a little bit of that, which I'm hoping will change with everything's new, guys. Like literally, everything's new. Let's the paint's fresh. Like let's let it dry. See how it goes first.
No.
No.
RG3 Part 2.
Yeah.